Hello and welcome to the Unit 7 Interim Study Guide. I am going to put my name on a paper. I am DJ Tay. Woo woo. And today's date, let me see if I can get a little better of a writing utensil. And today's date is, let's see, the 28th, I believe. Yes. Okay, let's see, what class am I going to represent today? Today, I think I am going to represent, I'm going to represent 8th period. Okay, so let's jump right in. We are talking about rational numbers in a coordinate plane. So let's look at number 1. Are these inequalities true or false? Are they true or false? All right, so A, negative 14 in comparison to is saying it's greater than negative 1/2. Well, this one is false because negative 1/2 is much closer to 0 than negative 14. Let's look at B. 14 over 2 is greater than 13 over 3. Well, I told you guys that when you have your fractions, you can change them into decimals in order to compare. But check this out. 14 divided by 2 is simply 7. So this is saying that 7 is greater than, and I can pop 13 divided by 3 into the calculator, and I'll get 4.3 with a bar notation over the 3. And I know that 7 is definitely greater than 4.33333. So this one is true. Let's look at number 3. Part C. It says 3 is less than 2.7. No, it is not. Think about it. $3 is going to be more than $2.70, for example. So this one is false. And D, negative 8.32 is greater than 4.05. And I remember telling you guys that it does not matter how big or how little the positive and negatives are. If you're comparing a positive to a negative, the positive is always greater. And this one is saying that the negative is greater. So this one is false. Let's look at number 2. The lowest point of elevation in 4 countries is shown in the table below. Order these countries by their elevations from least to greatest. Least to greatest. All right, so let's take a look. I know that the larger the negative number it is, the least it is. All right, that means it's the furthest away from 0. So that means that it would be, and it says, order these countries. So not the numbers, the countries. So first will be Nigeria. And I'm going to put a check next to it to just say that I've done that one. Then the next one will be Peru. And then Canada. And then France, the only positive one on here. All right, so those are in order from least to greatest. All right, let's look at number 3. Layla was doing inventory in a tap STEM lab and made a table to compare the capacity of 5 containers. Which container holds the most? All right, so notice that we have some decimals, but we also have 3 mixed numbers here. So we need to change these into decimals. So remember I told you that whenever you have that mixed number, that whole number is going to be before the decimal portion. Before the decimal of each of these. So I automatically know my whole number is that 4, right? So now I can pop it to the calculator to see what the decimal portion is going to be. So 9 divided by 20, and that gives me 0.45. So this one is 4.45. Now this one is 4 over 5, so 4 divided by 5, and that gives me 0.8. So this one is 4.8. And then I have 2 over 3, and that gives me 0.66666. So this is 6 with a bar notation over it, okay? So now I'm comparing all of these as decimals. They are all in the same form. And let's see. Notice that containers 1 and 2, they have the same capacity. And they are smaller than these other capacities. It's smaller than even a 4.5. So I know it's not containers 1 or 2. And let's see, 4.8, that's like $4.80 being more than $4.67 and $4.50. So which container holds the most? Container number 3. All right. Let's look at number 4. What is the absolute value of negative 55? Well, we know the absolute value is always going to be positive. Remember to stay positive, my friends. And negative 55 would be 55 spaces from 0. So that is the absolute value. Okay, let's look. It's asking, are these statements correct? So notice that we have some absolute value bars here. So I am going to rewrite these with answering the question. Like this first one is asking you, how far is negative 15 from 0? Okay, so let me rewrite this. Negative 15, the absolute value of negative 15 is 15. So this problem is saying that 15 is less than 0. And B, this is saying that 12 is greater than 10. This one is saying, because I know the absolute value of negative 19 is 19, 19 is greater than 22. And this one is saying that 33 is greater than 47. So now that I have rewritten these out, I could go ahead and answer these questions. Is 15 less than 0? No, this is not correct. Is 33 greater than 47? No, not correct. Is 12 greater than 10? Yep, Peruski, it is. It's correct. Is 19 greater than 22? No, that is incorrect as well. All right. Let's look at this next one. It says 4 points are plotted on the coordinate plane. 4 points are plotted on the coordinate plane. What are the ordered pairs of each point? And, you know, this, of course, is a little shameless plug here. I, of course, put my TAYE. So let's go ahead and take a look at where the T is. I look over on my x-axis and I see it lines up with 5. And then I go up and I see it lines up on the y-axis with 4. So this T for Tay is 5, 4. All right, let's look at the A. I see that if I go over on the x-axis, I'm lined up with negative 9. And when I go up on the y-axis, I am lined up with 8. Okay, let's look at Y. So Y is over on a negative 3 for my X. And let's see, it's down here at negative 8 for my Y. Huh, Y is at negative 8 for Y. Okay, and let's look at the last point, E. All right, look at over on my x-axis. I see that it's lined up to 7. And looking down on my y-axis, it's lined up with negative 5. So we just located all of those points. Now let's look at number 7. It says, which quadrant is each point located in? So this is a little test taking tip that you may have used before. If not, here it is for you. Sometimes, guys, when you're taking a test, you can use problems that were right before it or right after it to help you. So you should, of course, know which quadrants have a certain type of points. For example, I know that this is quadrant 1, this is quadrant 2, this is quadrant 3, this is quadrant 4. In quadrant 1, The x is positive, so is the y. Plus, comma, plus, right? In the quadrant 2, the x is negative, but the y is positive. All right. Quadrant 3, the x is negative and the y is negative. And in quadrant 4, the x is positive, but the y is negative. Okay. So you should know that as just, part of your what you learned for math, right? But sometimes you forget that, or you start taking a test and all of that goes out the window, right? No problem. Look above. There's a grid here. There's a coordinate plane. Dude, let's check it out. It's asking which quadrant is -2, -4. Let's see. -2, -4. I see that's in quadrant 3. 2, comma, -4 over to 2 down to 4. That's in quadrant 4. -4, comma, 2. -4 up to 2. That's in quadrant 2. And +4, +2. That's in quadrant 1. I just used a grid that was already on my test, guys. A coordinate plane. All right, let's look at number 8. And number 9, they are using the same picture here, the same coordinate plane. It says, Julie, woo woo, shout out to DJ Squared. She plotted the point -3, 2. She then reflected the point across the y-axis. What is the ordered pair of the new point? All right. So, guys, we did some notes on this. We learned about reflections. I told you guys to look at your axis, the one I want you to reflect over, and to think about that as a mirror, because when you look in a mirror, that's how you see your reflection. So it wants us to say that the y-axis is the mirror this time. So this point has to go in that direction. All right. So this point is coming over here. So instead of it being at -3, it's going to come over here to a +3. And the height is going to change. It's going to stay the same because you're looking in the mirror. You don't all of a sudden see your feet, right? So, okay. So this is now a +3 and a 2. What changed here? Well, our x's became the opposite when we reflected over the y. Our x's changed to the opposite when we reflected over the y, okay? So let's look at this point again. It says number 9, if Julie reflected a point -3, 2 across the across the x-axis, what is the ordered pair of the new point? Okay, so it's saying, yeah, that was great. You did the y. Now I want you to show me the x. So this means that this is our reflection point, right? This is our mirror. So the point is here. We are bringing that point over. All right, we're bringing that point over. All right, so we knew that before when we reflected this point over the y, our x's changed to the opposite. Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? This time our y's are going to change. So we're staying at -3. And instead of 2, it's going to come down here to this -2. All right. So it's going to stay at -3. And instead of a +2, it's going to change to its opposite of -2. And now I have the 2 points reflected there. Okay, guys, I believe in you. Watch this video as much as you need to so that you can feel super prepared for your test this week. Have a great day.